Well, it's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I just wanted to make this quick little video to talk about the main event tonight that took place between Joe Smith Jr. as he made the first defense of his WBO light heavyweight title, taking on South Florida's very own Steve Geffrard. Now, this is a fight that I was very excited for because, as I stated earlier in the week, I've known Steve for a long time, been covering his career for a long time and watching his career for a long time. So I know him better than most people. And I thought that if he would have put it together on this one night, he had the style to beat Joe Smith Jr. But unfortunately, and I got to be honest, Steve's my friend. I like him, cool. But I got to be honest, Steve Geffrard did not come to win. He didn't come to win. He showed glimpses in this fight of the fighter that he is. When he put his combinations together and he would double up on that jab and stab Joe Smith to the body with the right hand and put this combinations together. He looked really good, and there were a couple of times where he would hit Joe Smith in the earlier rounds, and even some of the middle rounds, when he hit him, he would get his attention, but he just wouldn't throw his hand. He wouldn't let go of his hands. And he fought in this like Glenn Johnson-esque high guard the whole fight and never deviated from the high guard. And it was just very disappointing to see how the fight played out. Smith, I got to give credit to Joe Smith Jr. Joe Smith Jr., one of the hardest, most conditioned fighters in boxing. This guy don't get tired, And one thing I like about Joe Smith Jr., and it goes to show you could have all the talent in the world, you could be more athletic, you could be faster, you could be all these things. But one thing I like about Joe Smith Jr. is his determination, his will. Steve Geffrard came in fighting in a high guard most of the fight, and then you saw Joe Smith Jr., anything he could touch, he was hitting, whether it be the forearms, the shoulders, the biceps, the triceps, the ribs, the body. If he had to low blow him, so be it. When he took Steve Geffrard to those deep, dark, uncomfortable places. And look, the cold, harsh reality on this, on this day of January the 15th, 2022. The cold, harsh reality is that Steve Geffrard has never, ever been at this level of boxing under the lights. Now, he's been at this level of boxing sparring, but never under the lights, and it really showed tonight. But hopefully, he can draw back on this experience, and it can bode well for him because, he showed a lot of courage to get in there on 8 days' notice and just fight Joe Smith Jr. But ultimately, Joe Smith Jr. was too big and too strong for the game plan that Steve Geffrard fought. So credit to Joe Smith Jr. He fought with bad intentions the whole fight. He had to be kind. I feel like Top Rank was being a bit harsh towards Joe because they were saying that Joe Smith Jr. Didn't perform well and he was fighting down to the level of competition. I don't think that's true. I think Steve was tough and he was durable, but I think Joe Smith Jr. I liked how he fought. I liked the patient, methodical approach he took in hitting Steve on the shoulders and the arms and the ribs and mixing up his punches, showing he could box a little bit. I thought this was a good mature performance from Joe Smith Jr. and a great way to defend, make the first defense of his title. And they always say in boxing, you're not a true champion until you make your first title defense. And look, this was a trap fight for Joe because Joe Smith Jr. had multiple opponents fall out of fights because of COVID. Himself, he had COVID. And then this is a unknown commodity in Steve. So there was obviously going to be a little bit of room for a letdown because Joe's looking at those big fights. But he did what he had to do. He did his job. And look, Joe Smith Jr., the way I see it now, they were talking about him fighting Artur Beterbiev at Madison Square Garden. I think that would be an amazing fight if they could get it done. Two monstrous punchers in the light heavyweight division, fighting for 3 belts at MSG. I mean, it really don't get much better than that in the light heavyweight division right now, as far as I'm concerned. Unless like Canelo Alvarez wants to fight him, then obviously he'll take that fight because Canelo Alvarez will offer him the most amount of money. But overall, Joe Smith Jr. he's a working man in his day-to-day life, and this was a workman performance against a durable fighter in Steve Geffrard. And I'm gonna say this last thing about Steve because I gotta say this. A lot of times I talk about fighters. You guys listen to me talk about boxing. I'll talk about fighters that are really experienced and they're in these training camps and they spar all the top guys. But then when they get into their own fights, they can't seem to break that sparring partner mentality. And I got to be honest, Steve Geffrard, at times in the fight, showed glimpses, but at times he had a sparring partner's mentality. And I hope that's something that he could break really, really soon because I'm thinking now that he was on Top Rank on ESPN, he'll get a call for a fight against a lesser opponent, a name opponent, but not a champion, and he'll have a chance to redeem himself. So go back to the drawing board and just keep working, man, because you can tell he hasn't been at that level, and it really showed tonight. But all respect to Steve, like I said, for taking the fight on 8 days' notice. All respect goes to Joe Smith Jr. making the first defense of his title in a very good workmanlike performance, where obviously, we saw some chinks in the armor of Joe Smith Jr., but it's the normal chinks in the armor. We know Joe Smith Jr. is not Bivol as far as his technique. We know he's not Beterbiev in terms of his pure punching power, but he's still got some things inside of him, a special sort of determination that sets him apart from most fighters, and he showed it again once tonight. He showed that to us his whole career, whether it's against Fonfara or Hopkins or Vlasov or even Steve Geffrard. He just finds a way to get it done. So make of that what you will. Joe Smith Jr., shout out to him. And let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What did you make of tonight's fight between Steve Geffrard and Joe Smith Jr.? What did you make of Smith? How do you think he'll fare against Beterbiev or Canelo? Based off what you saw, is there anything that enhanced or diminished Joe Smith Jr.'s reputation of him in your eyes? And let me know about Steve Geffrard as well, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm very disappointed because I've seen Steve Geffrard and I know he's better than he showed tonight. But it's a learning experience. We'll see how he comes back in the future. But I'm not one of these people that likes to diminish fighters just because of one bad loss, one bad performance. Fighters can grow, they can mature, they can learn things. So we'll see what happens with Steve moving forward. We'll see what happens with Joe Smith moving forward. The light heavyweight division's in a good place in 2022, and like I said early in the year, I think the light heavyweight division will be a division that comes back and has a bit of renaissance in 2022. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button and surely you will not be disappointed. True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God bless.